Hello, listeners. Welcome to the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon podcast. And if you've been listening, we've been talking to business leaders across Asia. And today we have someone special, all the way from China. And fun fact, she is actually my first guest from based in China. So today we have Anna Thellmann with us, and we actually got connected on LinkedIn. And just a bit as well, as I can see, Anna's dog is joining us also. So I love dogs. Don't worry, no worries, Anna. So Anna is the sexual intimacy expert who is here with us. And Anna's mission is to help women to accept their body, discover their inner strength, needs, and desires to live a fulfilled and empowered life. And if you're listening to my past episodes, I also had sexual wellness, Jing Liu, in the past as well. So we're good to also ask and dive, especially Anna. Why I reached out to Anna was she was having a LinkedIn Live next Monday as of recording to talk about orgasm. And today there will be a lot of questions on orgasm as well. So Anna is also a certified NLP practitioner. And of course, as I've said, she's the sexual intimacy coach. Anna, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. And what a lovely introduction. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on the pod, Anna. So we've been talking a little bit about Southeast Asia before we started the recording. And I know you're based in Shenyang, China. For our guests, normally I ask about Kung Fu movies. But for my first question to you is like, tell us something interesting about China.
Something that I didn't know. And to be honest, before I moved to China, I never thought about China. But moving to China, what I think is very interesting is that it's super safe. So for me as a woman, when I lived in England before, I lived in Germany before, it's a different level of safety you have. You can go out in the middle of the night, you can be maybe drunk, maybe not, by yourself with other girls, and nothing is happening to you. People, they look at you, yes, but they leave you alone. You don't need to be fearful going by yourself through the park. And that, I think, is interesting and also very, very amazing and gives me a great safety feeling.
Awesome. Wow. And I have no idea where Liaoning Shenyang is. Maybe could you tell us more about where Liaoning is?
Okay, when you see at the map, when you look at the map, you have Beijing here. Well, at least when I look at the map, it's Beijing is here. And then you fly 1.5 hours northeast towards Shenyang. So it's higher than Beijing, lower than Harbin. You might know Harbin, the ice city. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know about Liaoning and until now. It's more higher than Beijing. Wow, that is very interesting to know. I think Beijing is already very north for me. I know the extreme is Harbin, right? So I think you're in between, somewhere before Harbin, right?
Yeah, but it's still, when you look at the China, it's so huge. So even we have 800 kilometers to Beijing and probably about 600 kilometers to Harbin. So it's huge. And Liaoning is bordering on the Korean border. So maybe that gives you an idea.
Wow. Okay. Oh my God. I learned something today. And looking at your LinkedIn profile, it says here you are elementary when it comes to speaking Chinese. So you speak Chinese?
A little bit. Here the delivery guy just came and I didn't understand him that he wanted me to open the package and have a look at it so I could verify that everything is okay. I didn't get that.
Right, no worries. Yeah, but cool to learn so much about Liaoning, and maybe interested. Maybe one day I'll visit as well. So thank you, Anna, for being on the pod. So let's get into it. So you are a sexual intimacy expert. So tell us your journey. How did you become a sexual intimacy expert today?
Well, the journey started probably over 10 years ago when I discovered my passion for learning and development, for training people, for helping people discover better life, their inner purpose, their skills and abilities, to just help them be more confident with who they are. And that started more than 10 years ago back in England. And over the years, because before don't know how it is for you, but for me it was always, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't know what I'm passionate about. There were so many things that grabbed my attention, but nothing was like, I was looking for that feeling, that wow feeling. And eventually I found it, and I found it in learning and development. So I did all my academical studies to follow that route and to be able to teach, be able to train, have HR experience and all of that. And eventually it got me into coaching. So I was back in England, I was a coach at the college, at the local college I was living. And I absolutely loved it. It was for me like coming home. To my first coaching session, I was a bit like, I don't know what I'm doing here, but let's roll with it. And it was so amazing. And I absolutely loved doing that, helping those students who are the first time away from home, who have the studies and work all together at once. And yeah, absolutely loved it. But then I came to China and I didn't find a job as a coach here, because here you need a visa to be able to work. And I didn't find a company providing me with a visa to do that work. So I started as an English teacher. And for the first 1.5 years, I taught children and adults English. But I've noticed that I miss coaching. Teaching is great, and I love teaching. I love to share my knowledge, but it wasn't this fulfillment that coaching gave me. So I said to my partner, I would love to find a way to go back into coaching. And eventually, like after 1.5 years, I found the way by setting up my own business. This over here is my Chinese company license. It's really official and everything is included. And from there, I started being a coach, do what I love, but also become a business owner and become CEO and a marketer and a salesperson, all of that. And I didn't know how all of that worked. When I started my business, the first time that I heard that, oh, a niche, and I said, what is a niche? I have no idea how that works. So I had the pressure to niche down. And I thought, but I just want people to accept themselves. So at the beginning, I called myself a self-love coach, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted people to love themselves. And after a year and working with two business coaches, I got so confused, because they told me self-love doesn't work. You have to niche down, go to body love, go to relationship. And I got out of that partnership and I thought, I don't know anymore. Maybe I just stick for now with life coach and talk about my methodology, about what I believe and how I can help. So I've done that. And I also knew, you maybe know that when you have this feeling, you just know it's going to happen. And I knew eventually the time would come where I would find my niche. And that morning came last year in October, when I got out of the shower and I had this epiphany, like these tools work so brilliantly for all of my clients in every area of their lives. Why wouldn't it work in the bedroom? And I was a person who believed that in order to have an amazing orgasm, particularly when I masturbate, I have to have an amazing fantasy. And every distraction just made my body tense up, and it wasn't enjoyable anymore. It was just like hard work, finding that fantasy, sticking to it, making it bigger and bolder and louder. Every thought that comes in, oh no, go away. And the orgasm, it's not like a relief of endorphins anymore. It's just more a relief of the tension that you have, because you're so concentrated on what you want to achieve. And I thought, that's not how I want it. So let's try these tools that I use and see if it works. And I used 2 of my tools and they worked, and I had an amazing orgasm. It was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I need to share this. I need to share this with the world. I need to particularly share it with the women, to tell them, ladies, if you don't have an orgasm, I would say 90% of the time it's in your head. And it doesn't start with the sexual intercourse. It starts long before. It starts when you decide not to do anything. And that's when me as a sexual intimacy expert was born.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. And I like that story about niching down. So you could be a life coach, could be like you said, the self-acceptance coach, self-love coach, and because of your experience, you actually now are focused on this sexual intimacy. So being a male, I was like, oh my god, I'm going to interview Anna on sexual intimacy, especially on female orgasm. So I actually asked my girlfriend for some questions as well. So she gave me some questions here today, and a lot of things that you mentioned. There are some things that we can ask. First is one is a lot of women. This is from a male. We actually don't know this. A lot of women don't think that orgasm is possible, right? So what is your advice to them? Is it for everyone?
Well, there are cases definitely where the body doesn't work that way, but it's not many of them. So the percentage, I would say, it's not even 2% of all the women in the world that are physically not able to reach orgasm. I would say usually the problem is in your head, that you don't allow yourself to have an orgasm, that you are waiting. And also it depends, don't you have an orgasm during intercourse, or don't you have an orgasm at all? So that's the big question I would probably ask before everything, because many women don't have an orgasm when they have intercourse. It's actually just 35% of the women who have orgasms when they have intercourse. But when you masturbate, that number goes to 95%. Because you know what you do and what you like. So, hey ho, you get an orgasm far easier and far more often than when you have a partner you have sex with.
Yeah, so 35%, that is very interesting. 35%. And I like that you openly shared that about masturbation, right? And thank you for being so honest on that part. It is very common for males, not common, but males are more open about their masturbation habits. So in your opinion, how should women be more open about masturbation, and how often should they do it?
Well, that's a great question, because just the other day I was doing a presentation on masturbation. So happy that you asked this question. So as a man, masturbation is very healthy for you. It helps you to last longer. So the more often you masturbate, the longer you last during intercourse with your girlfriend, with your wife, with your partner at all in general. It also helps against erectile dysfunction, particularly when you get older. Cleaning the pipes is great for erectile dysfunction. It also decreases the chances of cancer, of prostate cancer, by 33% if you masturbate 21 times a month. So
Wow.
make that as a this is my goal, 21 times a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. For women and in general, masturbation or just having that orgasm increases the killer cells in your body. So it's good against viruses, bacteria, whenever you're sick. So when ladies say, I have a headache, oh, I can't have, give her an orgasm and the headache's gone. Because the orgasm, the chemicals that we then flush through our body, they help us. It's also great for sleeping when you have a lot in your head or a lot of tension, a lot of stress. An orgasm will safely bring you back to sleep. It also helps you stay young. So for ladies, 3 to 4 times a week, and it keeps you younger. There is actually, I read about a research where there were 200 ladies, and there were some hundreds who masturbated 4 times a week, others who didn't. And it was a long-term study, and they found out the ladies who masturbated 4 times a week or more, they looked younger. All of them looked younger than the ones who didn't. So just saying, get your orgasm back.
So there you have it, 3 to 4 times a week. Oh my God, that is something I need to share with with a lot of people. And yeah, and I like that, referring to your story, you said your experience, you had tools, and the mental state helps. And I reading your LinkedIn bio, you said it's not about the sex toys, it's not about a lot of things, but a lot about the mental state. So can you share a bit about the tools and mental state?
Yeah, so many of my clients, they come to me because they want their orgasm back, but that doesn't mean that they don't have an orgasm. That mostly means that they, for example, in a relationship and they don't have sex anymore. So they want to get their orgasm back with their partner. And what happens in most often, even when I have clients who, for example, have endometriosis, they are stuck in their head. There is something that holds them back. And one particular client, she came to me and she said, I think I'm ugly. And I think my partner thinks the same. So whenever her partner, her husband came close, she withdrew because she didn't want to trigger sex. She didn't want him to see her body that she thought is ugly. So that increased the distance, the emotional distance, the physical distance. And they didn't have sex for over 12 months because of how she looked at herself, how she talked to herself, how her self-perception was. So I work with my clients on that self-perception, on that mindset to accept yourself first. And when we've done that, when we achieved that self-acceptance, we can go further. We go into what can we do? How can we get sex back? What is the next step now for you to get that orgasm back?
Wow, that is so it is more like feeling self-accepting and maybe feeling beautiful yourself. Does, like you said, you put yourself in some sort of fantasy. Do you help them with the visualizing part as well?
Yes, of course, visualization is a big part of my work because when we visualize it, that's when we get into the details. That's when we tell our brain, this is what we want to do. This is what we want to have. It's manifestation. You probably heard about manifestation. It's the same thing. The better you can visualize it, the better the details are, the more clear you get on what you want, the easier it is to achieve it. So yes, visualization, we do.
Oh, awesome, awesome. And I know that you help, couples as well. You help partners to actually achieve better sex life. So how can the partner, so speaking about the males, how can the partner and the females help each other on this?
In what do you mean specifically?
So this orgasm is an unknown area, all right? So it is something that is new to both. So I know that, you talk about self-acceptance, we need to accept ourselves, and then we need to actually fantasize. But in terms of the partner, how do you help like a couple to actually get better at this?
Well, first we work on the mindset, and then the communication is a big part. And before you talk to your partner, you first need to know, what do you want? What do you like?
Oh.
And yeah, because how can you tell your partner if you don't know yourself?
Yeah. Is there like, being in an Asian country, maybe this is a question in part of my background, it is quite hard for women to speak up, like, this is what I want, this is and this is how I like it. So do you have any tips for women to be able to communicate better with their partners?
So my experience, first of all, is that it's not an Asian thing, it's a human thing. I wouldn't differentiate, because I met many people from all over the world, and you either talk about it easily or you don't. So Doesn't matter where you are and who you are. What makes it easier, what I do with my clients, is I use a language that is comfortable to them, because not everyone wants to talk about position, about blowjobs, about vagina, about anus, about penis. It's all words that for some, they feel shame about it. They don't want to say it. And say, that's okay. How else can we call it? So we both know what it means, but none of us is actually saying it. And then we find terminology. We just make up terminology to just define what the client means. So I know what they mean when they talk about it, and I use the same word to make it just easier. Because it doesn't matter what words you use as long as you talk about it.
Thank you, Anna. That is so cool. That is very insightful indeed. So do you have stories of, maybe you help someone, and then they actually achieve better in their life or sexually?
All of them. Well, that's the point, isn't it? But yeah, all of them achieved, in the end, an orgasm sooner or later, actually. Usually in my program is 6 months long, that they achieve orgasm or have that intercourse or have that intimacy, that deep connection with their partner back within the first 2 or 3 months. The other months, the other part of that program is maintenance. Because you get results very quickly, because at the beginning you're very enthusiastic, you're motivated, you want to do stuff, you want to change. But then it comes like to that place where your brain is telling you, we're fine now. It's okay. We don't need anything else. Oh, it's so okay now. But that's where it's important to just continue working against that inner critic of yours to maintain that level or even go higher. Because otherwise you will forget and all the work will be for nothing.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. So it's not just being excited in the beginning. And what are your tips to actually keep the so your program is 6 months. So what are your tips to keep this on for the rest of their lives?
Well, they see the improvement. The thing is, when people come to me, they are there because what they have now is not what they want. And the want is the reward. So we humans are driven by reward. When we get the reward we want, we are happy and we work for that. And we're motivated to do that. And when we achieve that, we look for the next reward. But in order to get the next reward, you have to at least maintain the level that you have. So it's a bit contradicting, but in the end, the motivation is that you keep that level up, that you now have a more intimate and deeper emotional connection with your partner. In order to keep that up, well, you have to, or you should go on dinner dates. You should show your partner that you love them. You should support them. You should listen to them. So it's an ongoing thing. If you want to keep that, this is what you do. If you don't want to keep it, you just let it slide and you go back to where you've come from.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So your program, just to mention to the audience, is a 6-month program. And it's called Get Your Orgasm Back, right? Can you tell us more about that program as well?
Well, the program is for everyone, men, women, and any other identities here on this world. And it helps you. There are 3 stages, but they're not like in a particular order. But what we do first is we cleanse. So we cleanse all that negative self-talk, all that self-sabotaging, all that self-doubt. We first get rid of that, because only then you are actually, let's say, empty enough to get filled up with all the positivity, with your self-belief, with confidence, with this is what I want and I know how to get it, etc., etc. So first we cleanse, then we nourish, and then we evolve. Then those last 3 months, like I said, they are usually for this evolving state where we will maintain and even grow bigger than we thought we could. And that you come to me, you want your orgasm back, and after 3 months you realize oh my God, I still have 3 months to go. Where else can I go? Because I'm already there where I wanted to be, but I have still 3 months to go. And, anything is possible.
Yeah. And yeah, thank you for that. That is Get Your Orgasm Back. It's very important. And most of your clients are females, I get. Do you work with males as well?
I do deal with males as well, particularly with single males, but also when I have couples, then there is a man involved.
Okay. And for single males, what do you work with them with?
Well, one of my clients, he was at a point where he just got out of a relationship and he wanted to get back in a new relationship, but he couldn't. Yeah, he didn't get an erection. It was all like frustrating for him. And we worked on his mindset. It turned out that he wasn't able emotionally. He didn't grieve about his past relationship. He didn't take the time to grieve. He just tried to distract and get into the next one. So we first have to understand that. He had to understand that you need your time to grieve. And when he realized that, it just fell off and he was able to reach an erection, but he also then said, okay, I need the time for myself first to grieve, to grow, and then for the next relationship to become the man that my new partner would like to have and the man that I want to be. Because previously he just jumped from one relationship to the next and always carrying that baggage from the past relationships. And it was more and more baggage. And now he took the time to heal from that, get rid of some of the baggage.
Thank you, Anna. And you mentioned that there's a lot of baggage, and I read in a lot of your materials as well that shame and past experiences do shape your current experience. So, what is your advice for those who have bad past experiences for their sexual intimacy?
I would say get help. If it's with me, I'm happy to help. If it's with a therapist, a consultant, a psychologist, whatever it is. But sometimes it's very hard for someone by themselves to heal on such a deep level that is actually needed. And I personally, I just finished therapy and coaching myself because I know that by myself, I can get to a certain level of healing. But in order to heal in a way that I want to heal, I knew that I needed help. So I went out and I invested time and money into my personal healing, and I feel amazing. So whoever has that trauma of shame and has dealt with it and has tried and hasn't gotten where they want to be, get some help. It will be beneficial.
That is so gold, Anna. That is very gold advice indeed. Because what I learned from this podcast, thank you for coming on and sharing so much, and being so open about your knowledge here today. What I learned is, when people think about sexual intimacy or orgasm, they think about, what positions or what sort of, what sort of positions or what sort of foreplay you need to have. What sort of things you need to do, sex toys, whatever. But from talking to you for the past half an hour now, what I learned is a lot of the things that happen in the mind, including self-acceptance, past trauma, shame, and accepting yourself, and communication as well. Thank you, Anna, for sharing. Is there anything else that you like to share to the listeners here today?
I want to share that the most important person in your life is yourself. And when you look after yourself and when you accept yourself, then it will become so much easier to love others, to accept others, to be around others. So I know it's contradictory to many people that say, oh, but I have to think about the family, the children, everyone else first. No, it's not selfish. It's just an amazing thing you do for yourself to look after yourself first, because in England you say you can't pour from empty cup. So if you look after yourself and you fill your cup, it's much easier to give others much more.
Thank you, Anna. That is amazing. Thank you so much for being on the pod and being my first guest from China. And thank you for your time as well.
Thank you very much.